All right, guys. We're gonna do something a little different. This is gonna be a video breakdown of the stunt, the two-man stunt called that I call thumbs. I know, in different defenses um, it has different names. So, but based on the lingo that I was brought up in as a player and as a coach with under Rocky Long system, we call this thumbs. So, with that, what this stunt again, it's a two-man stunt involving three technique or B gap rusher and an edge rusher outside. And so what happens on the stunt is that the B gap rusher is the penetrator. So that's where this arrow signifies with it being first. He's the first one up the field. And then the end is going to wrap around him, okay, right off his behind back into the A gap. Okay. And so with this stunt that it allows you to get a 2-on-1 on the offensive guard. Okay. And kind of the added benefit too is that when you run this stunt that you're basically eliminating the tackle from the equation. Okay. When you run it correctly. So again, 9 times out of 10, when you run it right, you're eliminating the best athlete and best blocker that the offensive has, which is usually one of the tackles. And then you are then putting yourself in a numbers advantage on one of the lesser athletes on the offensive line, which is the guard. So for the offense, okay, how they're going to try to stop this stunt is they're going to try to pass it off. And the way that they're going to try to pass it off is by the tackle, the penetrator, being overtaken by the offensive tackle, therefore freeing up the guard to come off on the defensive end that wraps around to the A gap. Okay. This is usually accomplished by the offensive guard punching the defensive tackle or penetrator across the tackle's face, and then which frees them up again to come off on the end, wrapping around. Okay. I teach that again where what they want you. I think it's important for you as a coach, and then also to be able to teach your kids how the offense is able to stop the stunt. Therefore, by knowing how they try to stop it, again, you know what to coach and look for when your kids are running the stunt, and then your kids have a better idea of, okay, why didn't this work if it didn't work, or why did this work when you guys come free and sack the QB. And so in this video breakdown, one of the things I want to focus on, okay, is how there's 3 main ways that you can teach the penetrator on this stunt, and it really applies to any stunt, but I want to talk specifically about this stunt, in that there's 3 main ways that you teach this guy how to run it. And so basically the first way is that you teach him to jet the B gap. Okay. And so what I mean by jet the B gap is that when you teach this guy or he hears jet, all he's thinking about is speed rushing into the B gap and beating the offensive guard with a speed rush. He's not concerned about picking the tackle's hip. He's not concerned about anything else except getting vertical in this B gap and winning in this gap. Okay. And then next, the other way, or one of the other ways, is that you teach this guy to set the pick. And so what that looks like is him expanding out to the offensive tackle and aiming for his inside shoulder and picking him and knocking him off. So that way he's not able to redirect then with the end wrapping around. Okay, and that is called setting the pick. And then the third way that we'll talk about and look at video on, we're going to look at video on all 3. But the third way that you can teach this guy, and again, I don't really condone it, but I've seen it in at least a few teams doing it, so I figured I'd talk about it, is where the penetrator holds this man, or in some place people would like to call it, he got entangled with the offensive guard. And basically that's where he grabs him and keeps him from being able to come off on the wrapper coming around. Okay, so those are the 3 ways that you could teach this guy, and that we're going to take a look at the film of each of these techniques, and we'll also talk about some of the pros and cons as we're going through the film. Okay. All right, here in the first example, this is going to be an example of running the stunt and teaching this guy to jet the B gap. Okay, one of the big pros, and first off, this is my favorite way to teach the defensive tackle. And there's two main reasons why, okay, or the pros that I feel like are to have this approach with teaching your defensive tackle or the penetrator is that one is that you don't give the offensive lineman any tails, right? So when you teach this guy just to jet in the B gap here, is that he doesn't see this. The offensive guard only sees him speed rushing. Okay, so this looks like every other play to him, right? So there's nothing that the defensive tackle does by teaching him to do it this way. There's nothing that this guy does to give him a heads up that, all right, something's up. Okay, so that's one of the big reasons why I really like this approach to it. The second reason that I really like this approach is that you're not teaching this guy anything different. So again, for him to be able to successfully run the stunt is the same thing that he needs to be able to do or execute in order for him to be able to win in a one-on-one pass rush situation. So again, there's no tails that you give this guy, and it's the same technique that he would use to win to try to speed rush around this person on just a regular rush call to where there's no stunt involved. Okay, so those are the two biggest reasons why I like it. The drawback with this though is that by teaching it this way is that there's a chance that a pick or a natural pick may not occur. And so if these guys just redirect with each of these guys, then that's another way for them to be able to pass off the stunt. It's rare, but again, it can happen. So, all right, so let's take a look at how this gets executed. Again, he does a great job speed rushing and pinning the near arm of the offensive guard. And forgive me, guys, I got to get a huddle. But again, great job here coming with the cross chop and pinning the near arm here of the offensive guard. Okay. One of the big things you're going to be able to tell too in order for when it's run successfully is how well the penetrator is able to get the guard's hips to be able to turn, right? So, because when this guy turns his hips, it makes it a lot harder for him to be able to redirect and come off on the defensive end that wraps. And here, this is an example of when the stunt kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Is that when you naturally get the pick here on the offensive tackle's hip or inside shoulder by the defensive tackle when you run this, okay? Again, he's not aiming to do this, but it naturally happens with him trying to speed rush on the offensive guard, and he naturally gets knocked out here and picks him, okay? The good thing that we'll see with this is that the tackle is not able to redirect, right? So again, the penetrator is behind the offensive tackle, so he's not able to take him over and then therefore allowing him to pass the stunt. And then one thing I want to talk about too here is that the defensive end does a great job selling speed rush up the field. Okay, he takes 4 steps up the field. Again, no tell given to let this guy knows what's up, and he doesn't know what's up until it's too late when he feels the defensive tackle. Again, this is a really good job by those guys. Okay, and again, a real big reason why I like the jet, teaching the defensive tackle to jet or the B-gap rusher to jet. Here, okay, guys, this is going to be an example of the second technique that we talked about, which is setting the pick. And so here you're going to see the penetrator, okay, turn his shoulders away from the guard, okay, and aim to pick the inside hip, inside shoulder of the offensive tackle. Again, the benefit of this approach is when it's run correctly, and we're going to see it run correctly here, is that it does not allow this guy to be able to redirect with this guy, okay? And then when he gets knocked off, okay, and you're going to see his inside hips get turned open, he's not able to take over this guy either. So, again, when run correctly, it is really good. The con to this approach, okay, is that when you're going to see the defensive tackle here, Frank Clark, he's going to naturally expand, okay, with trying to hit the hip of the offensive tackle, and he's going to turn his shoulders away from the offensive guard. Okay, both those things are tells for this guy that sums up or that the defense is running a stunt. Because again, if he's just anytime he's just regular pass rushing, he's not turning his shoulders away from him. Okay, and he's certainly not expanding with his eyes on the tackle. Okay, so right now, as soon as the ball snaps, sums up. So, or this guy will know sums up, and that'll give him a little more extra time to try to react to the stunt and therefore pass it off. Okay, so let's take a look at it, go on full speed, and then we'll go back to the beginning and talk it through. Okay, so again, there's the pick. Separate levels. Cliff Avrill's able to come off and make the play. Okay, it was a great play. Again, here is a good point with teaching this too, is a lot of times, guys, when you're teaching your penetrator to set the pick, some guys will teach it to where he needs to go in and try to kill this guy. Right, and just try to put all his body into him and all that stuff. And guys, this is a great example that you don't have to do that. All you need is a little piece, right? Frank gets a little piece of the tackle's hip here. And again, that knocks him off just enough for Frank to win in the B gap, and then which forces the offensive guard to stay with them. And then it doesn't allow the tackle to redirect with Averill. And again, because this guy's hips turned, he's no longer able to come off on the wrapper or Cliff Averill in this case. And again, as with the first clip, gotta point out the great job that the defensive end does here by selling upfield rush. Again, he gets 2 big steps up the field, making that guy respect his speed, and then he plants violently, okay, in the ground and accelerates free into Carson Wentz. Okay, and then again with the great celebration after, always good to celebrate whenever you hit that guy. Okay, all right, and so again, that's the second way that you could teach it, is to set the pick. Again, I like jetting better, but again, this is an effective way to do it too. Again, great execution by those two. All right, thirdly, okay, it's gonna be the thumbs is gonna be run between here, 3 technique, and then Cam Jordan on the edge. And again, this is the third approach, which is hold them or entangle them. And again, the benefit with this is that you're not allowing this guy, the guy that you're getting a 2-on-1, you're not allowing him to come off on the defensive end, which allows him to come free. Obviously, the con with this is that it's illegal, right? Any entanglement is bad, and so is this one. All right. So again, comes off the ball, grabs him up high, doesn't allow him to come off. Again, sorry about the lag, guys. But again, grabs him, doesn't allow him to come off, lets the DN come free. He misses, and but the defensive tackle is able to bring him back up. Again, I'm not gonna spend too much time on that one, just because again, that's kind of like a O lineman dirty trick, right? Guys, we're better than them. We don't want to be like those guys, but want to have it in your toolbox anyway. So again, guys, those are the 3 main ways that you can teach your penetrator in the thumb stunt. And those are 3 looks at it. And again, I want to make this point, just because this is how the 3 main ways you can teach it for this stunt, but it's also the 3 main ways you can teach the penetrator in any stunt that you run. And we'll talk about that more in subsequent videos. Again, guys, I hope you guys like this breakdown. If you could do me a favor, if you could like and subscribe to this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. And remember, when you do that, a quarterback is hit somewhere around the world, so do your part in making sure that happens. And again, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Stuff you want to see, stuff you like with this video, stuff you wish I talked about more, and look forward to getting with you guys.